Good morning, everyone. My name is Brenda Bailey, and I'm your MC for today's announcement. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we're gathered today on the territory of the Coast Salish peoples, including the Squamish and Musqueam nations. Thank you to BCIT and Interim President Paul McCullough for hosting us at your Annakus Island campus. I acknowledge my colleagues joining me for today's announcement, of course, our Premier David Eby and Minister of Post-Secondary Education and Future Skills, Selina Robinson. I also want to acknowledge the students and grads we're so lucky to have joining us today: Carla Lucero, Yadvinder Singh, Eddie Gooch, Scott Comfort, Ogaro Morrison, and Apsara Srini. I also want to thank all the others that are joining us today, both in person and watching live stream. It's an honor to be here. As Minister of Jobs, Economic Development and Innovation, how the people of BC meet the labour market challenges of today and prepare for the opportunities of tomorrow is extremely important to me. I'm so proud of the work that's been going into everything that we're announcing today. As we work together with businesses and our world-class post-secondary institutions to build a stronger and sustainable economy that works for everyone. I'd now like to welcome our Premier, David Eby, the Premier of British Columbia, to the podium.
I'd like to join Brenda in acknowledging we're on the territory of the Coast Salish people, including the Tsawwassen and Musqueam nations. It's great to be here to announce the hydraulic podium maintenance program. It's wonderful to be here with the Minister of Post-Secondary Education and Future Skills, and Minister Brenda Bailey, and so many students and so many instructors. I see leaders from post-secondary institutions across British Columbia here today. There are so many cool jobs these days. I was just touring around behind, talking to some of the students. It's making me rethink my career choices a little bit. Right now in British Columbia, you can be at the forefront of the green transition by working in mass timber construction or in EV mechanics. You can help care for your fellow British Columbians by working in healthcare and early childhood education, a very, very important career for my family. You can even help develop new medicines or medical devices by pursuing a career in life sciences. Or my personal favorite, of course, you can make robots. Believe it or not, robotics did not exist as a career choice in the 90s at my high school career day, but I did learn a lot about Crystal Pepsi that will be with me for a lifetime. Having a good job is essential to building a good life here in BC. Our economy is growing quickly and innovating just as quickly. Work is transforming. We have more job openings than people with the skills able to take those jobs. If you've been searching around the jobs on LinkedIn, you'll notice that businesses are looking for people with a growing set of advanced skills. And it's not just the tech sector anymore looking for employees expert in acronyms like AI, VR, and UX. It's healthcare, it's childcare and education, looking for enhanced skills and certifications. Engineering, manufacturing, construction requiring next level training. And the clean industries that are thriving in BC and key to our future are looking for people who understand and can implement these new technologies. This isn't just a challenge in British Columbia. Businesses around the world are feeling the pinch of tight labor markets. And the numbers tell us the same story. Over the next decade, BC will need to fill more than 1 million job openings. For 80% of those jobs, people will need to have some kind of post-secondary education or training. And for about 1/3 of all jobs, people will need to learn new skills to keep up with evolving requirements. We need to help people get the skills they need to fill the jobs of today and tomorrow. Now, this doesn't matter whether you're fresh out of high school or hoping to make a career change. It's not always easy to take these next steps. Post-secondary education and skills training can be expensive. It can be time-consuming. Programs are in high demand, but there might be limited seats. And too many people still face barriers to educational and employment opportunities. Systemic barriers, like just making your rent while you're doing training. Finding training that works with family commitments that you have. Mental or physical health challenges that you face. Whether you have adequate housing or even access to high-speed internet, of course, the financial cost, barriers related to incorrect and discriminatory preconceptions about who can do what job, based on disability, based on gender, based on race. Since day one, our government has been working to help people get good jobs, to grow our economy, and create a cleaner and more inclusive British Columbia. We've taken steps to make post-secondary education more affordable and more accessible. We introduced the BC Access Grant, which has benefited nearly 60,000 students. We waived tuition for former youth in care so they can pursue their education goals, setting themselves up for a bright future. We eliminated the interest on BC student loans, which has saved people in this province $40 million. We added 8,000 student beds at campuses throughout the province, with 4,000 more on the way. And we've created opportunities for apprenticeships on major public projects. We're also tackling some of the biggest barriers that keep people out of the workforce. In the past few years, we've created tens of thousands of new childcare spaces and cut fees by as much as $900 per child. We're starting to see the results. 3/4 of last year's job growth was driven by women's employment. We're building thousands of new homes, increasing the supply of middle-income housing and fighting speculation. We're also closing the digital divide with a plan to connect every household in British Columbia to high-speed internet by 2027. Today, we're taking a critically important next step. I'm so glad to be here with Minister Robinson and Minister Bailey to launch our new Stronger BC Future Ready Action Plan. This plan helps people get the skills they need to seize opportunities and build good lives. It helps businesses find the people they need to drive our economy forward and deliver the services we all rely on. This plan has 5 key pillars. First, we're making post-secondary education more affordable, more accessible, and relevant. We're adding new seats in high-demand programs, including 3,000 in tech programs. This is on top of the nearly 3,000 we've added over the past 6 years. We're also adding nearly 1,400 seats in early childhood education programs, so people can pursue rewarding careers caring for kids, and more parents can find childcare while they continue on their career path while raising a family. And we're doubling how much students can access through interest-free student loans from $110 a week to $220 a week. That is the first increase since 2006. Second, we're helping people get the skills they need today to fill the jobs of tomorrow. Our new Future Skills Grant will allow students and people in the workforce to get up to $3,500 to cover the cost of short-term skills training programs. People will be able to choose from more than 400 courses in a wide range of in-demand areas, including zero-emission vehicle maintenance at BCC, wildfire crew essentials at North Island College, energy-efficient construction at BCIT and Camosun, emergency medical response at the Justice Institute, or cybersecurity at UBC. We expect the Future Skills Grant will initially benefit 8,500 people over the next 3 years. We're also creating and expanding programs focused on helping tradespeople upskill, supporting people transitioning from forestry jobs, and giving youth opportunities to get into the manufacturing industry. Third, we're breaking down barriers so everyone can find a job that works for them. We're expanding the provincial tuition waiver program so former youth in care of all ages can access free tuition. We're also expanding skills training for people facing multiple barriers to employment. Fourth, we're working with Indigenous people to address their workforce priorities. Future Ready commits nearly $100 million to Indigenous-led education and training initiatives, including ongoing funding to expand post-secondary training and labor market opportunities for Indigenous people. And finally, we're making it easier for people who are new to BC to find jobs in their fields. In the past 2 years, more than 250,000 people moved to British Columbia. That's the most newcomers we've seen from other provinces and other countries in 60 years. They're doctors and nurses, early childhood educators and teachers, skilled professionals we desperately need. And far too often they have to wait months, even years, to have their credentials assessed. That's time we don't have. Which is why we'll be bringing in a new law that will streamline international credential recognition, removing unnecessary barriers, and helping newcomers work in their desired and experienced fields sooner. In the past few years, we've faced unprecedented challenges that have tested people and our economy like never before. Through all this, BC has led the country's economic recovery, and that's because we all work together. Future Ready was developed in consultation with First Nations, businesses, labor organizations, and our skills training and education partners, like the people who are here today for this announcement. Together, we can build a BC where everyone can get the education, training, and opportunities they need to build a good life, and where businesses can find the talented people they need to help them grow, innovate, and continue to drive our economy forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Premier. As a business person myself, and in my role in Cabinet, I spend a lot of time speaking to employers. And I can tell you that again and again and again, what I hear is the need for skilled workers that can help them grow. Labor shortages are being experienced worldwide, and BC, unfortunately, is not immune. At a time where we have more jobs than people, we're taking big steps to make BC an even more attractive place to live, to work, to raise your family, while welcoming hundreds of thousands of people to our province to increase our labor force. And as our Premier mentioned, our work to invest in affordable and accessible childcare has led to a significant growth in women's employment. If you don't think of childcare as an economic input, think again. And today's announcement is another step forward for businesses and for the clean and inclusive growth of our province. So thank you, Premier Eby, for your commitment. Now, I'd like to welcome Selina Robinson, who's our Minister of Post-Secondary Education and Future Skills. And I'll just say, sometimes people do this work because they're assigned to it. Sometimes people do it because they care deeply about it and they understand the impact of the work and are a true champion. And Minister Robinson certainly is that. Minister Robinson.
I have been dying to use the explodium for years. Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Brenda, for the very kind introduction. And thank you, Premier Eby, for your leadership and for asking me to take on this critically important economic file. I too would like to acknowledge that we are gathered on the territory of the Coast Salish peoples, including the Tsawwassen and Musqueam nations. And thank you to BCIT for hosting us here today at your incredible NSS Island campus. Can we give them a round of applause for hosting us? For those of you watching, there are some really cool machines in these bays that are pretty awesome to explore, and it's really a treat to be here. Post-secondary education plays an invaluable role in supporting economic sustainability and growth in our province. In my previous role as Minister of Finance, I had a bird's eye view of what was happening right across provincial government. For years, I saw that to have the services, to have the economy, and the green future that we all want, we needed more skilled, trained, and educated people to carry us into the future. This morning, I had a pleasure, very briefly, to meet a number of people who are students and or who are studying. I had a chance to meet Yadvinder Singh, a Simon Fraser grad working in clean tech, Eddie Gooch, a nursing student at Vancouver Community College, Carla Lucero, a nursing student at BCIT, Scott Comfort, a BCIT grad working in mass timber, Apsara Srini, an undergraduate student from UBC's immunology program, and Ogaro Morrison, a heavy mechanical trades foundation student right here at BCIT. And I was able to ask them a little bit about, what drew them to their chosen career, what their experience has been like as a student, and hearing about how valuable it is for them to have the opportunity to learn so that they are prepared for a high-demand occupation and what that means for them going forward, and how their training prepares them as employees to participate in the economy, to contribute in the economy, so that we can continue to grow a clean, sustainable economy that works for everyone and have the services that we all rely on. And you'll get to hear directly from them shortly. As the Premier announced, the Stronger BC Future Ready Action Plan builds on work underway since we formed government in 2017 to expand access to post-secondary education and skills training. Now, this plan is supported by $480 million, a three-year provincial investment, a very significant investment to the post-secondary sector. And it includes a $39 million grant for new short-term skills training opportunities, which will see 8,500 newly trained workers over the next 3 years ready to fill in-demand positions. This plan will help tens of thousands more people gain the skills they need to succeed in an ever-changing economy, and it is changing faster and faster as we move forward. It will also ensure that BC employers, private, not-for-profit, and public sector alike, have the skilled workers that they need to grow and to thrive. These measures will work to close the labor and skills gap. This action plan and supporting investments they're just great news for British Columbia, and it is history in the making. As Premier Eby outlined, we're listening to BC employers. They urgently need people with specific skills and knowledge now, and even more down the road. We want to make BC stronger and future ready. The action plan released today is a cross-government plan for every sector. And with this plan, we're matching post-secondary education and training with the jobs that need people the most. And we're helping employers to access the talent that they need to grow their businesses. But we also know that we can't do it alone. It takes collaboration with businesses, post-secondary institutions, unions, tradespeople, community leaders, First Nations and Métis peoples, and organizations large and small. Together, we can address the challenges of today and respond to the opportunities of tomorrow. Now, the Stronger BC Future Ready Action Plan is focused on 5 key priorities. Make education and training more accessible, affordable, and relevant, so in-demand knowledge and skills are within reach of everyone. Break down barriers so everyone, regardless of race, gender, or ability, can find a good-paying job and have economic security. 3, provide the knowledge and skills needed to fill the jobs of tomorrow faster through micro-credentialing or short-term flexible and responsive training programs. 4, address Indigenous peoples' workforce priorities, such as shifting post-secondary education and training programs to being more Indigenous-led and ensuring culturally safe learning and working environments. And 5, as the Premier said, make it easier for people new to Canada to find a job in the field they are already trained in, such as simplifying the process for recognizing foreign credentials. Every action in Future Ready is designed to take on the challenges of today, to build a better future for people and a stronger economy. So I want to thank everyone who's here today for joining us for the release of the Stronger BC Future Ready Action Plan. You are all partners, and if you're not already partners, you will be partners, because together we are building a future in BC where people can access the skills and opportunities that they need to thrive, and employers can find the people that they need to sustain and grow their businesses. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister Robinson. I'd now like to welcome BCIT student Carla Lucero to speak.
Hello everyone, my name is Carla Lucero and I'm currently a third-year nursing student at the nursing program at BCIT. It is an honor to be present here today to take part of this special announcement. To give you a little bit of a background about myself, I am the daughter of immigrants who left their lives and careers behind in Manila in pursuit of better education and opportunities for myself and my sister. I have been working as a licensed practical nurse for 5 years now. My interest in nursing began at the age of 16 when my grandmother was diagnosed with end-stage liver disease while she was still residing in her province in the Philippines. During her struggle, I observed the significant role that nurses played in the last moments of her life. They served as her voice, provided her with comfort, and were a source of strength. They made her remaining days meaningful, respected her dignity, and upheld her quality of life. In essence, they provided her with a sense of family when hers were thousands of miles away. This experience ignited my passion for nursing, and I felt compelled to be someone's voice, someone's hand to hold, and someone's strength. I enrolled at BCIT to further my education for nursing, and I felt that because of its practical and hands-on approach to teaching students, that it really spoke to me. The values of compassion, leadership, and advocacy that BCIT upholds align with my goals in nursing. I have had the opportunity to collaborate with BCIT graduates, and I can attest that they are known for their versatility, innovation, and lifelong learning. I believe that through BCIT, I can continue to share my story and inspire others to pursue a career in nursing the way I was inspired. Nurses are the cornerstone of our healthcare system, and there are so many other healthcare professions that contribute to our province's wellness. Thanks to today's announcement, I'm excited to see more opportunities for people to enter the healthcare field and ultimately make a positive impact on the lives of British Columbians. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carla, and thank you for sharing that story about your grandmother. We're so lucky, I think, to have you working in nursing. I'd now like to invite to the podium Yadvinder Singh, who graduated from SFU, where he did an internship at Ballard Power Industries, and he landed a job as a research scientist there.
Thank you to the organizers for giving me this wonderful opportunity. I'm Yadvinder Singh. I came to Canada from India with an undergraduate degree and with a dream of carrying out my graduate work in the area of clean energy. I did my graduate program at the School of Mechatronic Systems Engineering in Simon Fraser University. As part of Professor Eric Jiang's group, I was fortunate to be one amongst more than 50 students who have so far participated in a joint research partnership program between SFU and Ballard Power Systems, which is a company, a leading provider of innovative clean energy fuel cell solutions, and which is where I'm presently employed as a research scientist. This program was both application focused and industry relevant, and having the opportunity to work on the grounds at Ballard and directly with Ballard employees provided me a very valuable hands-on experience and know-how, while simultaneously I was able to carry out my academic research in the improvement of durability of the fuel cell systems. I also had a chance to access some of the world-class and state-of-the-art testing and analytical facilities, due to which I was able to carry out and publish novel research, and which ultimately led to an advancement of my career in clean energy. Working for Ballard now, I get to directly apply the skills and trainings that I acquired in the development of commercial fuel cell products, and in doing so, getting a chance to help address some of the key environmental challenges that we face in the present day. Personally, I have benefited immensely from an ecosystem of close collaboration between industry, academia, and government, and I am very encouraged to see that ecosystem is being strengthened today, and greater opportunities are being afforded for the future students. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Edvinder. What a great example of the importance of work-integrated learning, not only for your research and your learning. Also, of course, Ballard had the great opportunity to get to know you and know that they needed to make you an offer. So, a great example. Next, I'd like to invite Eddie Gooch, who's a member of the Kawetsin First Nation and a third-year Bachelor of Science nursing student at Vancouver Community College, to say a few words.
Good morning, and thank you to Premier David Eby, Minister Robinson, and Minister Bailey and your teams for inviting me here today. I want to start off by saying that I'm from Cowichan tribes on Vancouver Island, and so I'm a visitor here who works, lives, and learns on these lands. I want to acknowledge that Vancouver and the surrounding area are situated on the Coast Salish unceded territory. And also want to share that I'm excited to be a fourth-year Bachelor of Science nursing student at Vancouver Community College. But I'll be honest, nursing was not actually my first career. I had previous careers in culinary and construction. In my late 30s, I knew I wanted to do a career change, and I didn't make this decision lightly. But going back to entirely change a career field is a really big decision. I thought of my age as a mature student. I thought about the time away from my family and friends. I thought about not being able to work as much while I was a student in school, and also the cost of living. But it was not a choice I made lightly. I also knew I had the support of my community, friends, and family. Today, I look back at what I have accomplished, and choosing to go back to school was the best decision I could have made. It's already opening up so many doors for me, and so many more opportunities, such as I got to work at Vancouver Community College in the Indigenous Community and Education Department in our area called the Gathering Space. We got to work amongst other Indigenous students as we're all working towards changing our life and changing our families. As I got to be surrounded by these students, I really found a new purpose. I really found a new community. I really found some meaning and within my education being surrounded by these people that were really pursuing new career goals. These connections and community at VCC had such an impact on my education experience, and I was so excited to be back at school. I'm also excited about where my career will take me. Because of this education, I've already been hired at a local hospital as an employed student nurse, so I get to transition from my education into my working career. And what I really want is to encourage more people to check out which educational opportunities are available to them. I know through education, and I hope that they may find the fulfilling experience that I found. I also hope that more Indigenous people can check out the opportunities education can bring. I wish for more Indigenous co-learners in the classroom and for them to advance their careers. But I also understand education, school, comes at a cost. And I hope funding opportunities like this today will encourage more people to check out the possibilities that are available and that education can fulfill in their career goals. And that these funds will make more accessible options available so that they can start their career. Thank you so much for asking me to be here today.
Thank you very much, Eddie, for those truly inspiring words. I'd like to now welcome Scott Comfort to speak, a great spokesperson for the mass timber sector and a recent grad of the BCIT Mass Timber Micro-Credential.
Thank you for the introduction, Minister Bailey. I want to start by very quickly recognizing the land that I'm speaking to you on and the Coast Salish peoples who have been stewards of this land for time unmeasured. My name is Scott Comfort. I'm the president of Seagate Mass Timber. It's a BC-based company that serves clients all throughout North America. I am really excited not only to see the incredible growth in the mass timber industry in Canada, but to see the growth of programs that offer training and certification in mass timber and educate anybody who's interested in learning more about it. I've been part of the construction industry in BC for over 30 years, and I'm lucky enough to have gone from where I started as a laborer to where I am now. And I count a lot of that growth to two things. One being the amazing mentors that I've had the opportunity to work with in this industry, but the other being the amazing programs and instructors through BCIT that I've worked with for years. There is a lot of power in learning from people who are so connected to the industry on the day-to-day. They understand the challenges we face, and they understand what happens on a regular basis in the industry as far as change goes. For me, each time I've attended BCIT, I was exposed to a far larger world of construction than I knew existed. Whether it was for my apprenticeship and my Red Seal or construction management programs that I took later on, I always made new connections and found new growth. I almost fell into the mass timber industry by accident. I went to take the micro-credential program that they've been speaking about at BCIT, just to learn more about construction and about mass timber in the industry. And a year later, I found myself making less than a year later, I found myself making a drastic change in my career. Now, I'm not saying taking the micro-credential is going to change everyone's life, but really we all have to revisit how we build. We have to look at more sustainable options, and what better way in British Columbia to do that than to look at sustainable timber products and systems. There are still a ton of people in this industry, and I would imagine in this room as well, that think mass timber is brand new. I talk to people every day who are like, oh, this is great, it's been going on for about 2 years. I just want to clarify that mass timber has been used extensively in Europe for more than 30 years. Recent technology has allowed for amazing growth in the types of buildings and the size of buildings, and has allowed for a massive amount of exposure in the commercial and residential industry in North America. But these are still the same tried, true, and tested materials that we've used for a very long time. BCIT identified the growth in mass timber very early and worked with industry professionals to make sure it could educate its students. I've always believed BCIT is unique because they have programming that fits you where you are in your career. They truly understand the commitment that it takes to work and educate yourself at the same time. I've watched as BCIT over the years has shifted many times to support the needs of the growing construction industry and prepare construction professionals like myself for what's next. And thanks to today's announcement, there will be more pathways for learners and workers from all backgrounds to enter and upskill in our industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Scott, for your words and also your contribution in regards to mass timber. It's really an important part of our future lower GHG province. Next, I would like to welcome O'Gara Morrison, who's a heavy mechanic trades foundation student at BCIT.
Morning, everyone. As you know, my name is O'Gara Morrison, and I'm a student at BCIT for Heavy Duty Mechanical Trades Foundations. A little bit about myself. I'm also a children of immigrants, born and raised in a small, beautiful island in the Caribbean called Jamaica. I'm sure some of you have been there. Pretty beautiful place. Miss it sometimes. Heavy duty mechanics. I come from a long line of trades people. Currently I have two uncles that are plumbers. Dad, heavy duty mechanic. My grandfather was a millwright, and I think it was just my rite of passage to carry that nice family tradition along. BCIT has always been my first choice, with the state-of-the-art tech, the great teachers, leadership. Mr. Upton over there, he's always been great. Everyone has treated me fairly. This is the right place, and this is the right place to come to learn this, right? But we have to look to the future. EV, and that stands for electric vehicles. For far too long, even though we need to get to point A and also to point B, it comes at a slight cost, and the cost is for the environment, meaning that the biogases, the chlorofluorocarbons, and all the other emissions that is slowly killing us and the planet at large. I'm sorry, I'm a bit nervous. Sorry about that. And we need to do something about it, and we need to do something about it now. And I am glad that I can be a part of this, meaning that we have electric trucks, right? That doesn't need to consume that much fuel, meaning that we can use the electricity and we can cover a large amount of distances, right? And we can also kind of slowly transition out of using diesel and using gas, and now we can start to go to more electricity, hydrogen, and things of that nature. And because of this, I can be most definitely proud to be a part of that movement and make everyone around me proud, family, friends, wife, everyone, right? So I will most definitely glad, and I will like the funding, everything that's going to be contributed to this, and yeah, most absolutely definitely. I would really like to be a part of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Agaro. I also had the opportunity to speak to Agaro before today's event, and it's so heartening to meet someone who's so deeply devoted to the environment, working as a heavy-duty mechanic and doing that training, and really does point to the fact that trades and lower GHG and a zero carbon future really, in fact, do go together. And finally, but certainly not last but not least, I'd like to welcome Apsara Srini. Apsara is an undergraduate student from UBC studying microbiology and immunology. Apsara.
Hi, I'm Apsara, and I'm a recent graduate from UBC's Microbiology and Immunology program. And I'm really excited and really grateful for this opportunity to be able to talk to you about this program because it has substantially enhanced my personal and professional development. Through this program, I have had the opportunity to engage in extensive collaborative research where I was able to work with a team of like-minded students with whom I've also formed lifelong friendships, but I've also had the opportunity to experience firsthand how theoretical concepts that I learn in the classroom apply in practice to tackle a specific research question. And in addition to this, the most important thing, however, that I've learned from my degree as well as my journey in science is that science is hard, but it's also really rewarding, and science is also never linear. There's always going to be ups, there's going to be downs, but every time it makes you realize just how interconnected science is, and that how everything you do in some shape or form is always boils down to the science of things. In addition, however, I've also learned that failure is really important. I have always learned more from my failures than I have from my success, and this is true not only in science, but also in life. Through the skills that I have gained from the microbiology and immunology program, I have also been able to engage in my own research project that focuses on agriculture. And in my own research project, I essentially try to investigate the genetic mechanisms underlying pathogenic and plant beneficial activity of various soil microbes. And to do this, I essentially delete various genes from different soil microbes and then look at how this translates into differences in causing disease or plant beneficial activity in various agricultural crops. And this has immense potential for agricultural industries because it allows for the generation of microbial inoculants for targeted disease suppression as well as for enhanced plant growth. So I'm really excited to talk to everybody. Was that a lot? I'm so sorry. But I am more than happy to talk about my research at our booth over there at the Life Sciences Department of UBC. And I'm really excited to talk to you all about, your own journeys in your professional, personal, and academic journeys. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. We'll certainly find some time to come and check out your information, and your passion is really on display, and I thank you very much for that. I would just like to take a moment to really thank these 6 students and industry folks who spoke. All of them were so inspiring, so please let's give them another round of applause. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. That wraps up our announcement today, and I'd now ask Rick Devereaux to moderate any questions from the media and invite the Premier and Minister Robinson back to the podium.
I want to see how they're going to I'll get a workout today.
Can you hear me? Perfect. I am not Rick Devereaux, but I will be moderating the QA today. We're going to get started with media on the phone. Just a reminder to all reporters to please press *1 to enter the queue. That's *1 to ask a question, and you will be limited to 1 question and 1 follow-up. Our first question today is for Richard Zussman, Global News. Richard, please go ahead.
Premier, how are you going to measure if any of this is working? What are the timelines you're looking at to ensure that people are getting retraining, getting these grants, and how quickly will they be working? And will there be benchmarks that you're planning on hitting here in order to ensure that this is filling the massive gap we have right now with job shortages?
Well, all of the, thanks for the question, Richard. Accountability is important for our government, for all of our programs, and we know it's important for all of our academic partners, our post-secondary training institutions. All of our post-secondary training institutions that are participating in this program collect metrics to evaluate the success of their programs, including placement rates of graduates of the programs, including micro-credentials. We are measuring an array of metrics across government, including vacancies in different professions across the province, which strongly informed the areas of focus of this program to make sure that we're training people for the opportunities we have. We know we have significant challenges, for example, in early childhood education. Getting the trained professionals into place to support our next generation of learners when they start childcare and support those families that need that support because they're going to work or they themselves are doing training. So this is a program that is designed in part to respond to the direct demands of our economy, our growing economy, and the bottlenecks that we see. And as well, we'll be looking to our post-secondary partners for reports on uptake and their part as they receive this additional funding from government. I'm also going to turn it over to Minister Robinson to respond as well after a brief delay.
Told you it's going to get a workout. Thanks, Richard. I think the Premier outlined very clearly about the way that we'll be monitoring the metrics, but we also need to recognize it's the labour market outlook that will help inform us about where we need to go. This is a plan that is grounded in the labour market outlook and in our engagement with employers of all kinds, making sure that we are targeting and focusing our efforts to deliver the workforce that they need. So we're going to continue the engagement. It's not a one and done. This is an ongoing living document, living program, making sure that we're continuing to respond to the labour needs of the province.
And Richard, did you have a follow-up?
I'm happy to see the Explodium is working. This is around the coroner's inquest into Miles Gray's death. Premier, would you like to see Crown pursue charges now, considering the jury has determined that this was a homicide? And do you support the findings in the inquest of requiring officers to wear body cameras?
First of all, I think this is a chance to reflect on the terrible tragedy of Mr. Gray's death. And I'd like to begin by thanking the members of the coroner's jury and the coroner's service for fulfilling the essential function of answering questions for Mr. Gray's family and friends about his final moments, and providing recommendations to government, to police about how we move forward here. My understanding is there are still processes underway, so I won't comment on that. But in terms of the particular recommendations from the coroner's jury, I understand the Vancouver Police Department is currently looking at those recommendations. The provincial government is as well. It's important that any time there's a tragedy like this, that we all take the opportunity we can to try to learn everything possible to prevent something similar from happening in the future. And again, I just want to send my condolences out to Mr. Gray's family and friends. It must have been an incredibly difficult process, but I'm glad that they were able to get the information that they needed about what happened that night.
Our next question is for Binder Sajjan, CTV. Please go ahead.
Hi there, Premier. I know you mentioned forestry jobs. We're continuing to see more curtailment in that industry, and I'm just wondering if you can maybe point to what new supports are available through this plan.
Thanks. Our economy is growing really quickly. There are remarkable demands for people in sectors across the province right now, and it's a time of huge opportunity. The forest sector, though, is facing some very significant challenges. We have a supply of trees. It's been badly damaged by wildfire, by pine beetle kill, and frankly by mismanagement of our forest resource. The available trees for manufacturing and for processing have declined dramatically, and we're seeing at the same time a perfect storm, very low price for timber supplies that affects our industry directly. So we are seeing mill curtailments right now, which means that there are people who are put out of work. It's a profound impact on families and on communities that are forest dependent, which is why our government has been working closely with the forest sector to mitigate those impacts. For example, putting additional resources into the Forest Enhancement Society so that pulp mills that depend on the residue from sawmills are still able to get the supply that they need to keep operating by collecting the slash piles from the bush and providing them to pulp mills to keep those mills operating. That's one part of our response. We also have responses that provide workers with supports immediately in community when they're wondering how are they going to make mortgage payments, how are they going to make car payments, and so on, as well as bridge to retirement opportunities for workers that are nearing retirement, as well as retraining opportunities for workers that are looking for other opportunities. But I think the critical piece is, for today, is you heard Scott, and you heard him talk about the opportunities in mass timber in our province. The shift in the forest sector, recognizing where our supply of what the industry calls fiber, but all of us call trees, where that's at is we need more jobs out of each tree that we have in the province. This is no longer a situation where we can rely on that high volume export of raw logs around the world to support forest dependent communities. We need to get more jobs per tree, and mass timber is part of our response to that. So this training opportunity, the mass timber education opportunities are also part of our response to the challenges in the forest industry, and frankly, our expectation, hope, and the work we're doing with the sector to make sure that it has a long-term and sustainable future in our province, as it always has.
Binder, did you have a follow-up?
I do, thank you. I know it's not part of this specifically, but one of the things we've heard is that a significant amount of immigration will be needed in order to fill future labor shortages. And I'm just wondering, how worried are you about racism, that may occur if that happens, and, what kinds of plans are in place to address that?
Well, the unprecedented levels of people who are choosing to move to British Columbia from either other countries or other provinces like Alberta and Ontario has definitely brought significant opportunities for British Columbia. We have significant demand for people. That's why people are moving here. There's economic opportunity here in British Columbia. They see what we're doing around programs like childcare. They saw what we did through the pandemic, keeping our economy open and running, keeping our schools open, supporting people, and they're choosing to move here. This is all very good news for British Columbians. And fortunately, the vast majority of British Columbians see it that way. We are an open and welcoming province, and that is our advantage, not just in Canada, but frankly around the world as economies build walls, as politicians seek to divide and set people against each other for advantage. British Columbia's advantage is that we're welcoming. We do this together. And part of that means when people choose to move to British Columbia, recognizing the skills and abilities they have and enabling them to be able to put that to work. That's why when we were first elected, we made adult basic education and English as a learning language training free, so that people could get the English skills that they need, the educational skills that they need to be able to participate in our economy here in BC. That's why today's announcement is so important around the credentialing, so that people can bring themselves up to speed on particular technologies we may be using here in BC that they're not using at home, but that build on their existing training. And finally, the new law that we're going to introduce related to credential recognition to make sure that people who have skills, and you know, it's particularly acute in healthcare, but it's not limited to that, who have the skills that we need in our healthcare sector, in our education sector, in our engineering sector, wherever it is, that they're able to put them to work, that they're not doing a job that is well below their skill level and wasting that talent when they should be helping us build the province we all deserve. By welcoming people, helping them integrate, helping them use their skills, all British Columbians, I believe, will see the continued advantage in us being an open and welcoming province to everybody.
Our next question is for Rob Shaw, Check News. Please go ahead.
Hi, Premier. You touched on it there, but can you talk a bit more about the grant program and the impact that you hope it has if it's successful? Like, what will we see if 8,500 people go through that and use it the way that it's intended here?
The $3,500 grant program opens up an array of different training opportunities. There's in the neighborhood of 400 different training opportunities for people. So you may be an employer and your staff need an additional level of training. Let's say you're running an electrical installation firm and some of your electricians need additional training on installing electric car charging systems. They could take up this program as an employer, have those employees go and do this training program for free, and be able to bring those new skills back to the company. As an individual, you know, if you're thinking that there's a chance for you to upgrade your skills to be able to take advantage of opportunities that you're seeing advertised, you could go and do training. For example, I mentioned North Island College is offering a wildfire fighting training course. You live in Campbell River and you're looking for a change in pace, you're looking for a different kind of job, you could go and do this training for free at North Island College and be able to be working on wildfire fighting crews across the province very quickly. Challenging, important, and critical, unfortunately, critical job right now in British Columbia. So there are all kinds of opportunities for people, for businesses to take advantage of this training to increase, as an individual, your paycheck at the end of each month, so that you're able to meet those expenses, you're able to build on your skills, for businesses to make sure that your employees have the skill sets that they need to really support your customers and build your customer base.
Rob, did you have a follow-up?
Sure, thanks. Just in a larger sense, I think this is at least the fourth version of kind of a post-secondary alignment with in-demand jobs that I've seen from a government in the last 10 years, at least four. We used to call them jobs plans. I'm just wondering, you know, why is this one different, the Stronger BC Future Action Ready plan, and why is it going to do what other ones appear to have not done or need to have been redone by your government today?
I'm going to give Selina a chance to weigh in, Minister Robinson, a chance to weigh in on this as well. But I think the critical piece about this program is, you know, like never before, we have seen economic growth in this province and a shortage of the key people with the skills to be able to take the jobs that are created by that economic growth. If you're running a bicycle shop, finding someone with the skills to do bicycle repair. If you're running an automotive shop, somebody with the skills to be able to take on the next generation of electric vehicles and provide those repairs. The demand for employees with skills has never been higher, And this is a very focused program informed by our engagements with, in particular, businesses, but certainly in partnership with First Nations and other groups that are underrepresented in these jobs, to make sure that we're responsive to the needs that are out there. I'm really excited about how this will facilitate the continued growth of our economy as we invest in our people. Our government's core belief from the beginning has been that people are the economy. If we're not investing in British Columbians and helping them increase their skills, helping them find childcare, helping ensure they have decent housing, then our economy will not do well. And we will not be able to grow the kind of economy that we need. This plan is the logical extension of that. It is a significant investment in British Columbians to be able to increase their skills, to be able to get to work quickly in those higher skilled jobs. And I think it will be very successful in that respect. I'm going to pass it over to Selina to give her perspective.
You have to wait a second, Rob. The explodium is lowering for me. All right. Thanks for the question. And I think what makes this one distinct is first of all, it's comprehensive. It's across ministry. So we've been engaging with ministers. I think there's 17 or 18 ministries that are engaged in this. We've had a significant consultation process where we had 850 people that we engage with, representing industry, representing First Nations, representing Métis, post-secondary institutions, all coming together. There's 21 component parts to this plan. It's a 3-year plan, but it's one that is has the ability to adapt as we identify how to continue to move forward. This plan of $480 million, when you add in the resource to increase the ability for students to take out more student loans that help with the learning, the Premier had mentioned we've doubled student loans so that from $110 a week to $220 a week, that's the first increase since 2006, and you add in $575 million for student housing. You take a look at $1.4 billion investment is what we have right now in this budget. That's a generational investment that we've never seen before. We haven't seen this in a generation, and that has huge impact for opportunities for students, opportunities for employers, opportunity for people to adapt to a changing economy. The other thing I think it's important to mention, Rob, is that we are seeing the economy change at a pace that we've never witnessed before. And so having the micro-credential, I think, is absolutely critical, and supporting people to access micro-credentials so that they can stay in the workplace, their skills can stay relevant, and that they can adapt to the changing workplace, the changing economy, is an absolute critical element of this plan.
We have time for one more question. For our final question today, we're going to Alec Lazenby, BC Today. Please go ahead.
Hello, Premier. So going back to forestry, which has been, a hot button topic over the last several months, and your government has invested over $100 million in, transition and value added and other areas of that sector. I was just wondering, what is the overall plan for that industry as we see curtailments? You mentioned mass timber, you mentioned other areas, but what would you say to forestry workers who are worried about their jobs and worried about their careers at a time when, we've seen 800 job losses at the end of last year and curtailment continuing into this year?
So I would summarize the government's forestry strategy quite simply. We're getting more jobs per tree out of a resource that is under incredible strain right now. We are, and that takes a number of different approaches from government. For example, right now, there are regional tables across the province where people who make value-added products from wood are meeting with forest producers who hold the tenures, who hold the rights to cut the trees, to ensure that those trees are being delivered to those folks who are delivering the jobs in forestry right now, so that they're not having to close their operation because they don't have access to the trees. And my message to these two groups, the people who have the trees and the people who are producing the jobs from the trees, is very straightforward. is if they can't come to a creative solution on their own to ensure that that value-added sector gets access to those trees, the government will have to intervene. And so there is a fundamental restructuring happening in our forest industry. The approach of previous governments of just letting her rip and hoping for the best didn't work out. We have a dramatic shortage of trees because of wildfire, because of pine beetle, and our communities that are forest dependent are too subject to the fluctuating international price of timber causing mills to open and close, which comes at a huge cost to those communities. When British Columbians are using our trees to produce mass timber, to produce other wood products, value-added products that are in demand around the world. I had a meeting recently with the Japanese Consul General, and Japan is a huge consumer of BC value-added wood products. And so we need to lean into that. We'll be building our relationships with our international trade partners, but we got to get our house in order here in British Columbia first, and that's exactly what we're doing with our work with industry right now.
Alec, did you have a follow-up?
Yes, it did. And this question is for Minister Robinson. Student unions across the province have been calling for years now for the province to implement a cap on international student tuition, which in some cases has gone up by 30 or 40% over the last 5 years. And with this plan placing such an emphasis on people coming to BC to learn, to work, to contribute to the province, what are the plans in place to support international students, and is a cap on international student tuition something that you are looking at?
Thank you for the question, and I've had the opportunity, I've had the file now since December, yeah, for a few months, and this has certainly come to my attention as a real concern, and we've taken steps as a government and through my ministry to create a framework for international students. I'll have more to say about that in the next little while, but that work has been undertaken. Analysis has been ongoing, and we're preparing to address those concerns.
Thank you, everyone. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you, everyone, for joining.